What's up, guys? Welcome to the Stats Free Sports channel. Let's get right into it. Here to bring you an NFL prediction video on Dan Quinn. I believe he will be the Indianapolis Colts' next head coach. And let's get right into it. So, Cowboys DC Dan Quinn is hot as fish grease right now, to be honest. And if you saw the reports lately, he's been brought in to interview for the Cardinals for the second time later on this week, and also the Colts for the second time later on this week. He's also a finalist for the Denver Broncos job, which I think he's kind of out for, honestly. He had that job last year. If you don't know, Dan Quinn turned down the Broncos job last year. I think he's kind of out this year. Every report I've seen says ownership wants Sean Payton. Russ went ownership and said he wants Sean Payton, and to the higher up say he wants Sean Payton. So I think that's gonna be the move there if Sean Payton wants the job. So it's up to Sean Payton really, and Sean has a couple options. Quinn, Sean Payton, they have the same options. Cardinals, and the Broncos really. The Colts not really on Sean Payton's radar. So we'll see what happens there. But I will believe, for me personally at least, I would if I'm Sean Payton, I would take Russ over Kyler Murray. I really would. I think Russ can figure it out. It can't get any worse than what it was last year. So on to Dan Quinn and to the Cardinals. I don't think it's going to be a good option either. Kyler Murray just doesn't seem stable for me as a starting quarterback. I think Dan Quinn goes to the Colts. He'll get a longer leeway. He'll get to pick his new quarterback, whether it be Aaron Rodgers, it be a trade, him and him help with Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard put in as well. But I think Quinn gets a longer leash going to the Colts. And the team's already kind of pretty is built pretty good. They have weapons, offense and defense. Defense, Zaire Franklin, um, Leonard at linebacker, Stephon Gilmore at cornerback, who might be on the move this offseason. I'll do a video on that later on, but I think Quinn chooses the Colts, honestly. Um, and the Colts, you look at the Colts list of who they've been interviewing, they don't have any big dogs. They don't really have any big dogs outside of Quinn. They really don't. And that's kind of confusing to me. I really thought, I did a part one to head coaching, my head coaching candidates video about 3 weeks ago, and I definitely had Jim Harbaugh going to the Colts. But from what I've been seeing, I haven't even heard Jim Harbaugh even talk to the Colts. And I know he's committed back to Michigan now, so that's why I'm making the change to Dan Quinn. But yeah, from what I've seen, Harbaugh didn't even talk to the Colts. And I thought the fit was perfect. Offensive guy gets to get his new quarterback, a former Colts player back in the day. The Colts fans love him. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. And from what I've seen, they didn't even talk to him. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of strange. But Dan Quinn though, he's definitely not missing out on two head coaching cycles. I don't see it happening. I really don't see it happening. He's probably outside of Sean Payton, he's the biggest head coach right now that's available, and he's probably tied with DeMeco Ryan for hottest defensive coordinator switch to a head coach. I think both of those guys do get jobs. Actually, I'll take it back. It's probably not even tied because Dan Quinn had a team to the Super Bowl. My Atlanta Falcons. He was my head coach and during the 2016 season, and our team was rolling that year. So yeah, Dan Quinn definitely isn't tied with D'Amico Ryan. I take that back because he has experience. Ryan has no experience quite yet as a head coach. So yeah, man, I really do think Dan Quinn doesn't miss out on two cycles. I think the key for him though, whatever job he does take, he has to bring in a fire offensive coordinator. He has to, because you don't know what you're going to have at quarterback. Honestly, if you go to the Colts, you don't know if the Aaron Rodgers thing is true. News broke yesterday. The Jets want Rodgers, and the Colts are a sleeper team to get Rodgers. You don't know if you're going to get a rookie. You don't know if you're going to get Derek Carr. You don't know anything. You don't know what's going to be your future at quarterback. So you got to have your defense ready and have a fire offensive coordinator who can really just work around whoever the quarterback is. But I think Dan Quinn should be fine. If you look at Dan Quinn's 2016 roster, it was littered with all current head coaches. If you saw his list, you had Raheem Morris, You had Kyle Shanahan. You had Matt LaFleur. You had Mike McDaniel and Jeff Ulbrich, linebackers coach. So yeah, he had a bunch of guys under him in 2016 with that Falcon staff. I didn't even know during the time. I know Kyle Shanahan. I know Raheem Morris, but I had no clue. We had Mike McDaniel and Mike LaFleur as our quarterback coach and as our offensive assistant. I had no clue. So that's pretty cool to know. Um, so yeah, man. And you see, and the thing about what's impressive about Dan Quinn, he changed his defensive around since 2016. You know, some guys stay the same on offense and defense. You know, they're stuck in their ways. They can't evolve. They can't really switch up. Dan Quinn has completely changed around his coaching style since the 2016 season. He's been different. You know, at least since being fired from the Falcons in 2018. He's been different. He's changed up, and you see how he did the Cowboys' defensive job. Look at the Cowboys in 2020 with Mike Nolan as the defensive coordinator. They were terrible. The moment they brought in Dan Quinn, their defense went up. Their defense went up, skyrocketed up. Top one of the better defenses, tough nose defense, and let alone he coached up Mike Parsons great. Mike Parsons is a phenomenal athlete, phenomenal great player. He's on track to be a phenomenal great player long term, but you got to have a coordinator who can use you right. And Dan Quinn uses him perfectly, in my opinion, perfectly. You know, so Dan Quinn called a perfect game against the Niners for the most part. I didn't see any real glaring mistakes. Defense played well for him. The players love him. The players loyal to him. The Cowboys fans, from what I've seen, some of them, not all, just a little piece of them, but they want Mike McCarthy to step down, and then they elevate Dan Quinn the head coach. You know, so they can keep it defense good. So you never know, man. But I think that's out the option. You know, Jerry Jones did come out and say Dan Quinn's job is safe. So I think not Dan Quinn. Mike McCarthy's job is safe. So that's out the picture, honestly. And as I said, Dan Quinn should have had a job last year. He turned some jobs down. He wanted to come back. I'm not quite sure why. Probably wanted his perfect job. Is the Colts' perfect job? I don't know. I really don't know. But they do have a decent defense they can kind of work around. You know, Zaire Franklin, Leonard, Yankin Ngakwe, Buckner. So, you know, they have a decent defense. Got to build some more to it. So yeah, we'll see what he actually goes. But he definitely is getting a job this off season. Just depends on where. And I think the coach is the best fit for him. And I think they need him the most, to be honest. I think they need Dan Quinn's defense and just style of play. Because the Colts defense has been getting better over the years, but they aren't where they should be. I think Dan Quinn could fix that. Dan Quinn brings a fire offensive coordinator with him, and the offense runs pretty solid. You got weapons, Pittman. Um, what's the tight end name? The two tight ends. Forgot their name now. Mo Alley Cox and the other one they just drafted from UVA. They got him too. So, you know, they got Jonathan Taylor. So yeah, they have a decent squad. Just gotta rein it in, a little more pieces here and there, and then fix the little issues that they do have. You know, so we'll see what happens this offseason. But it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. And that's it for video, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.